we saw him go for those green jersey points the other day, really not focusing his attention on that and sharing the chances around on a finish today that probably suits Case Bowl a little bit better than Michael Matthews. I think at this point in the tour, it's probably swinging back more to Matthews being the better of the two. More of a pedigree in a Grand Tour after 2 weeks of hard racing, after all the mountains. Case Bowl, a very large man, the Dutchman, and sure, he's had a tough time through the mountains, through the Pyrenees. We'll find out this afternoon how fresh or totally fatigued that Case Bowl is.
The aim for each rider today to go through 1 water bottle per half an hour?
Yeah, it's got to be in this heat at least 1 bottle per half an hour. And as I said earlier, it's really hard to put that amount of fluid into your body. And most of the riders will find they've still got a balance to make up when they get to the finish. So they may have had up to 10 or 12 litres of fluids today during the stage. Imagine trying to tip that in a 4.5 hour period.
And then they go back to the team bus, they get their urine assessed and they get weighed to measure how dehydrated they are and what amount of fluids they need to get back in the system overnight. It has often been referred to as an eating and a sleeping race, and in amongst the eating is also the consumption of fluids. 38 seconds. They're desperate to try and defy the peloton. Stefano Rosetto in the Corsica colours swings off. Lucas Wisenovsky now goes through to the front. There's been a fall again back in the peloton. And
the Sunweb
is down.
That's Bowl.
Chad Hager is waiting with him.
That's Case Bowl.
Jakob Fuglsang as well from the Astana rider. He's had a tough start to the tour. Case Bowl picks himself up from Sunweb. Astana is the team with the panic bike, number 71. That looks like Bilbao, who's doing the mechanical job at the moment for Jakob Fuglsang. Chad Hager is waiting with Case Bowl.
Well, Bilbao, he's trying to get the bike fixed up while another bike has been carried through by the Astana mechanic.
It's Magnus Cord, actually, that's trying to do that. Got that wrong. That's Omar Frale, number 73. This has taken a while to get going. Luis Leon Sanchez is there. Lutsenko is there. This looks like it could be collarbone territory. The helmet is coming off. Luis Leon Sanchez is looking really concerned for the condition of Jakob Fuglsang.
I think that was Fraley just indicating they need the race doctor, and there they are. That cabriolet, the white car, that is the race doctor. They've just asked them to stop as they were driving past.
That is a disaster.
The entire team there, the helmet off, the look, that dejected head towards the ground, that is a very bad sign.
Helmet off almost invariably means a race over. That left shoulder doesn't look good at all.
And the shake of the head.
You can see the compassion in Luis Leon Sanchez. This is not about protecting the athlete, this is about protecting a friend. Dmitry Fofanov is the sports director that is there with them. And they're sending the other riders on their way.
Here.
The expression on the face of Jakob Fuglsang tells the story. Tour over.
Test up
that
the
race, really unfortunate for the Dane. It was sitting 9th overall at 5 minutes 27 down. Still very much in it for a top 6 place in this tour, but that's a sad sight. And you can see he resigned himself to that really very quickly. Helmet off, look to the ground, a shake of the head to the teammates.
Didn't start well on stage 1 with a crash. He was on the improve as the race continued, but now one small mistake. It's another reminder of how important it is to stay up the front, and it's a cliche, stay up the front and out of trouble.
But sometimes that's exactly where it happens as well. Sometimes your numbers just up. It could have been his mistake, could have been the mistake of the rider in front of him. We don't know, we may hear later on.
Judging by the look of his skin suit, the amount of sort of dust that was on it, it would have been a pretty slippery sort of a corner because of the lack of rain in the region.
These roads are quite slippery, and racing on them in the past. I know that from
So
riding
that's
on
not
them
doing anything
today,
at all. So let me just
going through the final part of the race, but every roundabout on the way into Nim,
change that location.
even going slow, you almost hold your breath a little bit and back it off. It's slick. It's dusty. There's a fine layer of dust, and the diesel residue from, from the cars and trucks. That's just one of those moments. Really unfortunate for Jakob Fuglsang,
who now has officially abandoned the race. Alexis Gujard, Jakob Fuglsang out of the Tour de France. Rosetto, Vijanovsky, this is Ursula, and at the back it is Lars Back. Also involved in the crash, Robbie, was Case Bowl from Sunweb. Therefore, now what happens? Sunweb, Michael Matthews, does he become the priority, or do they stick with plan A and try and bring Case Bowl, the Dutch sprinter, back to the peloton to go for the sprint?
Well, at this point in the race, it's going to be very difficult for Case Bowl to get back to the peloton. The pace is on. The break is just trying to prolong its life at the front of the race, but they're chasing really hard behind. We saw Tony Martin on, but stacked up behind him with a couple of Soudal Lotto riders as well. They are riding really fast. This is going to be a very, very difficult chase for Case Bowl. He spent quite a lot of time sitting down on the ground, then getting another bite. So he's lost probably at least a minute and a half, up to nearly 2 minutes before he gets going. Even if he does get back, he may no longer have the legs to take part in the sprint.
George Bennett, as you said, from the water bottles, delivering them to the teammates. Some ice is also there. There's ice is now in over on cold water variety in a stocking. And this is reminiscent of stage 10 when he went back to collect the water bottles, but on that occasion there was a split. Today, no split.
I would expect now that it's Michael Matthews who gets his chance to do the sprint.
It's back out to 11 seconds.
We've seen a number of teams send a solo rider up to the front, but no team commit a train just yet. It's still too far to go. So whoever can't help in the sprint train, there's a crash again.
Off to the right-hand side, Dimension Data.
Christoph was
and
one.
this is Corsica. Corsica is well placed overall for Dimension Data. Quick right change. He's in fourth position. The general
change is still a bit slow.
To maintain his high placing.
I thought the UAE rider might have been Alexander Christoph, the last winner here in Nice. Yet to be confirmed. Let's hope it's not for him and his team. The man who is likely to do the best in the sprint finish. Under 5 kilometres to go. This is that little section I spoke about. Dip to the left through the roundabout. Get on the other side. You are lost.
Rosetto is at the front. Lars back in second position. Definitively
Just maybe they're like taking the trains at any
Fourth
distance.
position. This is Lars back, who's not at the back, he's out the front with a flick of the elbow. Let's go, let's keep working. They're breathing down their neck now though. That's no longer 11 seconds. Caleb Muir at the end of the train for Sudalmondo, followed by Emil Bosenhagen.
Peter Sagan a few positions ahead of him. No
Okay,
sign
good
yet
kill.
of the lead-out train from the König Quickstep, but look for those blue jerseys. They're starting to get folded up. Viviani is on Richese. He's wearing white with the light blue bands. Long through the roundabout. A few smart cookies through the inside.
And the yellow colours, Jumbo Visma, they're led by the rider in red, Janssen, bringing them forward.
Turnison is the man who will deliver Dylan Groenewegen. Small sprint train. Can they take on the likes of the König Quickstep who are waiting? They're just getting grouped together, waiting for their moment to ride to the front.
And from the original breakaway, Orsalan is trying to attack. Rosento steps out of the way. Groenewegen, he's got support. He sits on the wheel of Mike Turnison. And this is Janssen now who is on the front.
Early in the front, 2 kilometres to go. Slight headwind, remember. Naro Quintana, he is drifting back. But we'll get back in, no problem. Already lost enough time. We don't need to worry about his GC anyway. He's actually off the back.
So he's had a problem hitting Naro Quintana and he's conceding 4 grounds. Naro Quintana, he's out of contention to start with. He's in 13th position overall. The race is out in front.
You'll spot the line, 250 metres to go. Slight headwind, a little bit from the left-hand side. Marco Haller, he's the man on the front. Turnison, he thinks this is too early. He looks back. Where's Groenewegen? He's got a rider from Lotto Soudal behind him. On Groenewegen's wheel is Caleb Ewan in 4th wheel, but into this headwind it is very easy to get swamped.
And that's what's happening now.
Look who goes. He's got Richese in the wheel. Viviani, Sagan. They pass. Groenewegen with Ewan. Groenewegen, he tacks on to Peter Sagan. Christoph next to him, they're battling. Caleb Ewan behind Christoph. Ewan is in 7th position. Goes now. He goes when Richese starts. Ewan out in the wind. He comes in a little bit. Picks up a tiny bit of slipstream. Richese gives him a bit of a check. He's just too strong. Over the top. Clear victory for Caleb Ewan. What a win.
Well, it takes all these damn presses. It's actually been.
From the first metre of the race, and this is the man who came and rode the final kilometres before the stage started.
No, I'm guessing the damn thing now, damn button, and the gate's not
A
changing.
little bit of speed, but not much, because Caleb was coming with momentum. Photo for second and third. Viviani, Groenewegen, we'd like to see the other angle. Certainly Sagan in 4th.
Caleb Ewan has won this sprint on brute strength. At first, tactically good, following Groenewegen, but they were on the front too early with Turnison and Janssen. They got swamped from behind. He has ignited the jetpack. Track him on the left-hand
Oh,
side,
it's a good job at
64
the
k an hour,
position
and this
for
is
that, isn't
into
it?
a slight headwind.
Along that sprint,
67, getting down, getting aero. Groenewegen, he's coming. It's too late. It's already been won. 2nd for Viviani, 3rd for Groenewegen, but that is a win by a length.
and Bonifacio in 5th, mind you, so their first top 10 finish, and you said he'd be finishing 5th. Well played. For Caleb Ewan, he had Roger Kluger getting there earlier. Yes, with the boost in part of the last lead-out, but it wasn't a classic style lead-out. A lot of that last 500 metres, in fact, all of the last 500 metres was on instinct. He's a natural born sprinter.
It is. He was just searching for the line and knows his way to go and get it. But you've got to have the legs. He had huge motivation. He hasn't switched off after that first stage win. He liked the taste, and he's back for the second
And you
course.
had these ridiculously tiny screw, screws to take the battery cover off.
That's the next goal, of course. So over the hundreds of years,
Maybe the common sense now, like
Clearly you enjoy rest days. She won after a rest day.
a twist off or something, like most of the brands do.
To be honest,
Got bloody 4
so
tiny
bad today during the day.
micro security
I think
screws.
the heat really got to me, and I was actually suffering so much, and I was almost about to tell Max to get off the front because I was really suffering. But you know, I had extra motivation today. My daughter and my wife are here, so yeah, I'm so happy I could be with them.
Take us through that final kilometre.
Yeah, I thought we were too far forward. I had Jasper on the front with Dylan on the wheel with 1 kilometre to go, so we weren't in an ideal situation with 1k to go, but he did such a strong
This
pull.
is damn ridiculous.
Quickstep came past and I lost a few more positions than I wanted to, but I looked at this finish actually at the start of the day and I played all the scenarios in my head, and one of the scenarios I played was if I was too far back. I think if you watch it, I lay off the wheel and really take a run at it and start sprinting before the rest of the guys.
What the hell?
Yeah, it worked.
Just won 2 stages of the Tour de France, can you believe it?
Not really. You know,
It's gone down that well, isn't it?
I said before, it's a dream to be
Now I
here.
can move on.
Yeah, I mean, it was such a big dream to win 1 stage, and now I've won 2, so I can't believe it.
I wonder, because this window to 11, I wanted to put the Bluetooth into sleep mode.
It's 200 kilometres for stage 17 of the Tour de France. Let's now take a look at what confronts the peloton for stage 17. It starts at the Pont de Gare, 200 kilometres heading through to Gap. Destination eventually after that into the Alps. So this is one of the final chances for a big breakaway. Category 4 climbed the midpoint of the stage, but just a gradual drag right from the very start till there. Then a category 3 climb towards the end before they descend down to the Gap for the 25th time in the history of the Tour de France. Sven Erik Biesman at the end there, he referred to one of the great cliches because it is a truism
Clicking the damn button now.
in any sport, endurance sport at least. If you wait until you're hungry or you wait until you're thirsty, it is too late.
Absolutely correct. So sometimes it's a case of the more things change, the more they stay the same. And that old adage is certainly one of those. But it's become so much more scientific in recent years. And things like weighing the riders pre and post stage to gauge their level of dehydration. But there's always the rules of thumb that work. And bear with me on this one, but one of the really easy ones for hydration is when the urine is clear, you're hydrated. And that's just the really easy way to work. Because you can go and weigh yourself and say, oh, you're at 1.2 kilos less than you were at the start, so you need to drink 1.2 litres. You've just got to keep drinking until you need to go to the toilet every 20 minutes to half an hour. You know you're probably hydrated.
And we see so often at the start of the stage, once the breakaway is established, and it might be after only 5 kilometres, particularly on the late stage of the first week, automatically you see riders stopping by the side of the road to take a nature break. It's so important to be super hydrated at the beginning of the day.
And it's not just water, and it's been really more in the last 25, 28 years. So from in the 90s, that the electrolyte sport.
I put it on the chair in front of me at work.
And that is also really
Put it on the bike handlebars.
And it doesn't fill up on electrolyte. And a lot of riders like to take 1 bidon of each, 1 electrolyte, 1 plain water. And then also what you're drinking post-stage as well to replenish the electrolytes and get your body completely back in balance and everything the muscles need to recover. As we just fly across l'Église Saint-Germain in Faucon.
The actual construction of that church isn't known, but it got a lot of restoration work in the years of 1668, 1677 throughout that period, where they added the small belfry that you can see at the top of the church.
Yeah, this doesn't make sense.
And one of the most famous climbs in world sight.
Because when the button is on the bike, I'll show you in the camera. Let me just switch it back in a second.
Where the vegetation stops
Right.
and it just
Stop
turns
thing
to
there.
the white rocks. The sun reflecting off it on a hot day.
Okay, that's what you're pressing
Cooks
the
It can be
up and down
freezing
gears,
cold up the
this
top on
thing
a
here.
summer's day as well.
And windy.
And when the wind gets up, it is incredibly difficult. It's not
Okay, so
steep towards the top, but you
I've
get
got
into
that on the
altitude,
handlebar
and
now.
quite often the wind is coming in from the west and blowing a headwind into all this last part as it funnels its way around the mountain.
Oh,
Haven't
and
had
now
a
it
lot of
works.
fun
Makes you look
experiences
stupid.
going up the Ventoux.
Amongst some of the most famous images from this climb, one of them dates back to 1987 when it was an individual time trial won by Jean-Francois Bernard, the Frenchman who
No,
sung
it
is
didn't
riding
work.
this race, Julien Bernard, the Trek Segafredo. you imagine riding an individual time trial like Von 2?
At least it's short. The Von 2 climb is 21 kilometres long. I think back to, I think it was the last time I rode the Von 2 in the Tour de France. It was a 221 kilometre stage. Final 21 was the climb. The first 200 we covered in 4 hours.
You joke?
No. I'm still scarred.
Absolutely. One of my favourite stages.
It was horrific.
One of the favourite stages I ever watched on Von 2 was 1994, the big breakaway from Heroes Coffee. And he went to the bottom of the climb, was somewhere in the vicinity of 20.
Yeah, he had over 20 minutes, over 20.
And they didn't finish at the top, they went over to the side, they descended down to the bottom. And he managed to just hold on by a couple of minutes. And he tipped his hand, there was no helmet on at that point in the Tour de France. He tipped his hand as he went across the finish line. The great win by Heroes Coffee back in 1994 over the top of 1-1-2. This is Jesper's first second free row. And there are cars, the body's tipping down just a little.
Fun fact about that stage win, it was his only win in the professional peloton.
He held on to Wolfgang for 3 minutes and 35 seconds. He outpaces Maxwell Fleet on that stage.
And I remember being in the Gruppetto with him. With Magnus Buxton, he was the heaviest driver in the peloton for 10 years. He rode the Tour de France. A couple of others, like Stuart O'Grady, Ben Rogers and myself, going downhill in the Alps with Eros Polly and Magnus Buxton. You had to hang into their slipstream. They just descended so fast with the weight, the momentum created by their weight. And we were often over 100 kilometres an hour. So with Eros Polly, he probably extended his gap coming down off the Von 2.
Yeah, technically both those guys are really good descenders. It's not just a matter of the weight to gravity equation. Both really good through the corners.
Yes, technically very good as well. They're carrying speed through the corners and brake. Got some good guys up in the brake for this type of stage. We saw just coming through to the front earlier was Gorka Izagirre. Also with Magnus Kort and Omar Frele. Frele is definitely up there. Kort.
We saw Kort up there. He was definitely up there earlier.
He was up there early. We better just do a double check on Magnus Kort.
I don't think he's in that break anymore. He has been dropped off the back, and Magnus Kort is no longer part of those 33 riders off the front.
He's acted very early, but no, indeed he was not made just 2.
They have Omar Frele and Gorka Izagirre. Frele won a stage last year. Gorka Izagirre has been a stage winner at Grand Tours in the past.
But Frele's a man who has the strength to go on the attack on his own in a small group, get over that final climb, and he's got a fairly handy turn of speed.
So it can't be long
That stage when he got to Mond last year was incredibly strong. Came back on Jasper Sturman, who in the end we were cheering for to make it. It was such a great move that he made. He just literally hit a wall. The wall that is the climb up to Mond.
It is indeed. But for either of those riders from the start to be able to win the stage, Omar Frele or Gorka Izagirre, they need to reduce the size of this group. So we are in for some action in the final.
So I'm not going to touch the gearing, I'm not going to touch the shifting thing for about 2 minutes.
In the breakaway today, that's Alexi Gujjar from AG to Arla Mondial.
I'm going to see if it's a problem with holding down.
Daniel Oss with the flowing logs from the Bora Hansgrohe team. They also have Lucas Postelberger in the break. Number 22, sitting at the rear of the breakaway group, that is Casper Asgrim, who's been doing a lot of pacemaking throughout
It
this
seems
race.
to work better if I balance the buttons on top of the chair as opposed to on the bike. I just realised I've got no drink either. So I might need to jump off the bike in a minute anyway to grab a drink.
So yesterday's breakaway group of 5. Yesterday for the Sunweb team, they made the decision very early on, Robbie, that they were not going to sprint.
Because I've still got the benefit of using my normal cassette as well. I didn't offer on the bike whilst I'm in the proper test. So it's going to be a bit annoying if I take the cassette off and then things don't work the way I like it. And then I've got to put the cassette back on again. So it's just like to go down.
So they've had him not start the stage today. Which makes it intriguing for me that they make him the number one protected guy yesterday.
Well, maybe
Now,
that
in
was
all
the thing.
honesty, I
It's
can't
his
tell,
last
I
day.
can't feel any difference
Let's let him have a go at it, but he was
when
involved in
moving
that
up and
crash
down the
with
gears.
Champagne.
So they switched pretty quickly then to Michael Matthews, which shows
On the
that it's a
virtual
really nimble team
switched
in
up.
terms of its thinking. But Michael Matthews wasn't overly delighted about being told at the start of the stage to work with his ball. The white jersey of Egan Bernal sitting in
Let's go all the way down to the table with the easiest.
to come over the next 3 days.
All these climbers and GC riders, you see them lined up by team. Ineos, Movistar,
Okay, what time's that now? 24 to 5.
back there with Julian Alaphilippe.
Okay, so I'm in the easiest gear now. 24 to 5.
He is the wild card in the back. He sits in 7th position, almost 5 minutes behind the yellow jersey. But yesterday, he can still win.
I don't think he'll reach the podium. There you go.
Nairo Quintana yesterday, he was caught behind a ball. He didn't crash, he put his foot down. He lost more than
Otherwise,
a
the rock
minute
trading
yesterday.
says.
And we know Miguel Landa, he's an enigma. Expect the unexpected. He goes on long-range attacks. But I don't think he'll make the podium in this tour. He may threaten the top 5. I think it's just too much time to make up.
Okay, then doing what's that? See what's the kilo on average?
The team manager across the Ineos has spoken about as a threat. He previously rode the
Okay,
team's
we're going to move
starting
up
very
now.
forward Miguel Landa. He's the one guy that they think he can launch a long-range attack and sustain. Others, they back themselves to be able to slowly
About
build
halfway
their
now.
average down. So look at the peloton being led by defending Quick-Step, the advantage at 8 minutes and 29 seconds. 113 kilometres to go on the front of the peloton. Let's now turn our attention to the Tour Medium Medal. This is a technical course. This is a break by group of 33 riders. No real threats here.
Pretty much feels the same.
Of Julian Alaphilippe. The nearest is Sandro Neruse, who's more than 28 minutes behind.
And the really impressed about Caleb's win yesterday was not just that laying off the wheel, the slingshot effect out of the slipstream and hitting the front, that he went from a long way out, a good 250 metres into a slight headwind, and just held that. He didn't look like he was fading towards the line.
But it's a long way from Paris from here.
Yeah, he's going to need a lot of help from his teammates, guys like Jens Kirkeleder, who's just coming through to the front now. Maxime Montfort, everybody in the team, both Jasper de Bo sticking with him, also Roger Kluger. And Caleb said after the Pyrenees, he put a photo on his Instagram and said, with his teammates, I've got to thank these guys because it's them who got me through. There were some really rough moments today and I thought I was almost out.
Yeah, but teamwork for a sprinter, the support for a sprinter, it's not as simple as just
Just feel fine got now, I think it's in the
It's
Russians.
all the other stuff that we don't see.
Still in gear 13 on the system.
Rolling through the front of the breakaway group. At the back of the breakaway, in last position, that is Bolton Mollema. Just in front of him is his teammate Jesper Sturban. And they also have in this
Cadence
breakaway
dropped.
group the Latvian
I just feel that.
Tom Skoyens. Simon Clark, the pink comes rolling through. And the white comes the former world champion, that is Rui Costa. Followed then by the Colombian champion a few years ago, that is Sergio Henao. Latvian national champion is next in line, that's Tom
And
Skoyens.
we're up to 24.
European champion Matteo Trentin, followed by his teammates, that is Chris
No, I can feel
the
that.
Dane who
Okay.
speaks with a very thick Irish accent. Spent all of his teenage years up to around about 15 or 16 in Ireland. In fact, he spent most of his childhood in Ireland before moving back to Copenhagen in his mid to late teens. They hit the base of the first climb of the stage. The Category 4 climb, it's 2.3 kilometres in length with an average grade of 6.2%.
Okay, so I can feel the resistance then when they climbed it a
Yeah,
little
I
bit
think it's
steeper.
still too early, 97 kilometres to go. I mean, that was long-range moves, but 97. I'd find it hard to imagine that anybody in this group is thinking, yeah, just inside 100k to go, that's when I'll go solo.
Particularly in this heat.
Yeah.
Casper has been number 22 on the back of the group, but Thomas again might just test everybody's legs a little. Can we fit the group? There's rules, and then there's Thomas.
Yeah, and that was the next thing to get to. If there's anybody in this group that might just do it, there's that man.
And Rui Costa is staying nearby, so too is Simon Clark. They're well aware of the reputation of Thomas again. Do not take your eyes off Thomas again. Back in the peloton, they're still being led by De Koning and Big Step. Today, Julian Alaphilippe has himself ranked as equal 15th in terms of French riders and their time.
Yeah, so I'm not going to push too much on this ride
12th day
because I have a race in the morning.
Started the tour before surrendering it to Giulio Ciccone. But if he
Same as every
takes it today,
Sunday.
he'll move one step further forward in those rankings of Frenchmen to form the yellow jersey. It's the one in Paris that the French really want. It's been 34 years since they've had it. Again, followed by Mickey Shah. Good to see the Kiwi in the pink colours, Tom Scully, break away tonight.
Yep.
He's organising another ride with his good friend Tim Wellens, who currently wears the King of the Mountains jersey. That's in Spain this year. It's a 750-kilometre loop that they're doing. Lots of gravel roads. It's Thomas who designs the course. He designs the kit they wear, and he makes all the decisions on the bike. Tim does what he's told.
Good partnership. It's kind of like ours.
Who's who?
I just do what I'm told.
Have you ever done what you're told? I'm going to bring your mum.
I think tomorrow
Well, it's
morning
probably like when he was 12. Did he do what he was
visiting
told?
Corsica.
I know your brother well enough to give me the inside information. I
Probably
reckon
not,
Roscoe
but
will
I
tell
think
you
that's
a
what
totally
tomorrow's
different
ride,
story.
morning races.
We're a bit different. I don't do what I'm told, but I don't do all the planning. You do all the planning. Well, on certain things.
You do the executing of the restaurants brilliantly. You are the master of picking the restaurant and the wine list. I just hand it over to Rouvy. He's got it covered, and we go with the local cuisine and the beverages of the region.
And I'm also happy with our roles in the driving, where if it's a complicated evacuation from the finish area,
It's all Rouvy, trust me. If it's complicated, it's Rouvy. If it's simple, it's me who does the driving.
I don't know what it is, but the car seems a bit narrower when I drive.
And faster. It goes around corners quicker when you drive it. This is Dylan Toynes in the red colours for Bahrain Merida. One stage win already. That was on stage 6. That was to the top of the Ponce de Valley. He's got his mojo this year, Dylan Toynes. He can definitely win this stage today. He'll need to get away from the likes of Jasper Sterling and perhaps even number 22, Casper Adrian. But he could pick up another victory.
I would like to thank Paul Carey on Twitter for just doing some quick mathematics for us. We were just talking about the difference in aerodynamics and over an 8.5
So
second
it feels so much
sprint
more
for the last
normal or so
which
much
is
more
around the
natural
last 200 metres.
where you move the chain up and
Now,
down
I
the
think it was
cassette.
27.76
It's what
metres
you
a
used to.
second. So over 8.5 seconds, 1k an hour equals 2.36 metres for a bike length, which is what Caleb won by yesterday. So thank you for confirming my
So I
thoughts
suppose
with
if I
actual
have
mathematics.
the
We love Paul. Fantastic. Nailed it. It makes all
manual
Yeah,
gears
that's big
on the actual
brain.
cassette itself in the 36, 32,
Royale with
and then gear 1 on the virtual shifting is going to feel a lot easier than having the 36, 11 on the cassette and the 1 on the virtual shifting. I think it's going to be
27 points off the lead of his team.
It's gonna feel different.
It's only 1 point at the top of his climb, but as we saw through the intermediate sprint, Thomas again sees a prize. It's like a red rag to him.
Yeah, and he'll just set the pace, and he'll set
Okay,
enough pace.
so at the moment for number 52,
Little splits, guys, chasing across gaps.
or
Thomas just making sure
25
he's setting
on
enough
the
of a
cassette.
pace that everyone goes, oh, okay.
the same thing when they do
The
it.
other thing that they're doing is they want to stick with him. Daniel Oss is aware of this. So too is Alexis Gujard. Coming around the outside is Pierre-Luc Perichon.
Dip down to gear.
They would probably be thinking we need to stay with
No.
Thomas again, just in case. He's backing on.
Yeah, he had a look and he backed off. But what he sometimes does is he has a look, as if, oh, okay, you're there, I'll just ease up, and he even sits up higher.
It's difficult to perceive any difference
Whilst he's got the body language of up high.
unless you're on the extreme or the steep part of the climb.
But I still think it's way too far
steep
to do a
descent.
move like that, and
so
he had
is it.
these right on.
But Pierre-Luc Perichon was cautious.
Oh, yeah. Even Oss, Daniel Oss didn't want points. He thought, I'm just going to have a look and make sure that they'd gone over the top with 4 and a gap had opened up. Oss thought, well, let's not get caught out just in case.
The
Rather
gradients
make
on this
an
ride are
effort
so
that turns
low.
out to be unnecessary than not make
Well,
an
it's
effort,
difficult
which
to
at
see
the end
when
of
it's
the
over
day you think to
difference.
yourself, Gee, I wish I'd just gone.
The virtual
You'd rather
shifting.
be cautious than wrong than too relaxed than wrong. Peloton still being led by De Koning Quickstep out to 10 minutes and 35 seconds.
And it is absolutely pouring down on the head of the race. It looks to be a very localised storm, but it's one that was on the forecast, the possibility of local storms throughout the area. As the heat builds up in the Alps, the cold air meets the hot air. Suddenly you've got a storm front on your hands. And we even had a bit of picture break up there just from the amount of rain falling from the sky.
That is an incredible turnaround in terms of the weather conditions, and this looks...
Okay, so the shifting for like the last
And look in this direction,
5 minutes or
completely
so,
clear, looking out of our commentary
the
booth.
shifter has been on top of the chair and
horizon.
comes to the
But
right.
here in Gap at the moment is also fine.
Would you welcome the rain, given the heat that we're
So
Absolutely.
it's
It will feel
moving down. So
wonderful.
we're going to shift it off now and move it onto the handlebars again. I think it doesn't move. Back on top of the chair.
It's still up in the mid to high 30s. Here is the breakaway.
The damn thing moves.
There is Nico Roach in the red
Okay,
colour.
so there must be very, very
Followed by the Olympic Games gold medalist from
narrow
Greg
field of
Vandermark.
sight
Then Ben King behind him with the green helmet on. The
between
yellow
the
helmet is Nelson Oliveira
computer
from
and the air
Movistar. They
clicker.
lead the team's classification. Behind him in pink is the Kiwi Tom Scully. Phenomenal, and the peloton there at 12 minutes and 19 seconds. They haven't hit the rain yet. It has to start and stop somewhere, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it's quite possible that it will move across and the peloton will just hit wet roads and think to themselves,
What happened here?
Let's see if I can.
absolutely torrential on the front group at the moment, but they, I'm sure, will be actually enjoying it. Here's the first drops, it looks like, for the peloton as well, and the big drops of rain, really heavy.
Well, that gorge that we went through a little while ago, they had a horrible flood that went through there in 1992 where, sadly, 37 people passed away. So a flood can hit this region really quickly.
You see how gingerly they were through that last corner as well. When it hasn't rained for a long time, then it suddenly pours down. Things can get a little bit slippery as well. But rain this heavy is likely just to wash the roads completely clean. Any residue that's built up, that'll be gone in that section.
And what about the contrast to that in terms of racing in the rain and the spray with the water coming off the wheels and the chance of picking up a bug and infection as a result of that? Does that increase by much?
Only very slightly, I think. More so in real rural areas where there's a lot of dirt on the road, that's mud out of the fields that have been fertilised with manure and that sort of thing, like the races we see in Belgium in the spring.
Who I think that smile at the front is the irony of the change in the
So
weather.
we're going to back in a minute.
Boiling hot, and the rain is hitting the ground and evaporating almost
He's
straight
like a
away.
boxer, like that,
Thibaut
but then-
Pinot is all smiles. He likes the cool conditions.
There's riders with blocks of ice down their back, and now they're about to get poured on. Here it comes down on the peloton. There's Julian Alaphilippe, I think he's saying, oh, well,
Do have
at
some
least we're
more
gonna
about the
cool off.
computer.
It's William Bonnet who he's speaking to from Groupama FDJ.
No, anything to do.
Viviani's enjoying it. Yep.
Quite often in a race, when it starts to rain, you see the looks on the faces.
They go long.
They get very long, and now so many guys just started to smile. Think, well, this is going to be really
That
nice.
was going to be a
Kind of
descent.
like having a swim.
We haven't seen a whole lot of
In a minute.
lavender fields throughout today's stage, which, as we head through the region of Provence, I was expecting to see more
So
of it.
this
I
sounds
think
like
we're
a
just a
jump
little bit
off the
too
bike.
far north.
Or north.
I'm going to go grab
Down
the water.
around Aix-en-Provence, you see a lot more of those lavender fields. As we see another one of those
We've really
beautiful
got some
shots
of
we
the
had
mills
throughout the
of it.
tour of these
So we've got really
magnificent
enough.
birds soaring high.
This will do.
Not too spooked by our television helicopters.
Not spooked by the rain either, because they haven't been hit by it yet. We've got additional votes to be awarded today. Alex Dowson, Mr. Consistent, he's hunting down George Bennett. I'm going to award him 2 votes. 1 vote for the pause, and 1 vote for the comment about, gee, Geraint Thomas finding a way to crash at the end of the tour, potentially, but locking him in for second behind Thibaut Pinot. Alex Dowson, 2 votes.
Long hesitation, the big R. Sounded like he was at the doctor.
That incidentally puts him into clear 3rd place in the race for the Tour Media Medal. He's on 7 points. It's currently being led by George Bennett, who's on 12. And Thibaut Pinot and Geraint Thomas, who also got a mention from Alex Dowsett, they're on 9 votes.
As the peloton is led by de Koning Quickstep through Le Gorge de Meuge.
What did you think of his forecast that Thibaut Pinot will win ahead of Geraint Thomas and Julian Alaphilippe?
I think the first two, reasonable enough. Yeah, why not? But if Alaphilippe cracks, I think it's going to be much bigger than that, and I think he may drop to the bottom end of the top 5 or 6.
Yeah.
If he goes. He showed signs of it the other day in the Pyrenees, but this tour has just given us so many surprises. Should Alaphilippe hang on, I also won't be shocked.
The tennis ball theory, if you drop the tennis ball, it bounces back, and that bounce gets less and less. How much more spring does he get with his tennis ball after the rest day? We don't know. We won't know until tomorrow.
It's not an exact science. Now, he had to be dropped up there by
He's going to jump
helicopter.
off a bank to grab a drink.
Surely you wouldn't climb that.
Rock climbing. He's got the safety rope. He must have. You can't drop somebody off on that through the chopper. It would be worth watching if they did.
I was just looking at all the loose-looking rocks up towards the top.
The French are so famous for their rock climbing.
Oh, he's a lot braver than I am.
He's a hell of a lot braver than I am, I can assure you. Peloton still being guided by de Koning Quickstep, the team of Julian Alaphilippe. It is magnificent. We talk a lot about all the man-made structures, but this is Mother Nature at her very best. I like that he's got the polka dot jersey on, so he's climbed up. See the safety harness.
Oh my goodness. You know that feeling you get in the bottom of your feet when you're watching someone else stand at a really great height in a precarious place? Maybe you don't know, but that's what I've got now.
I've just taken a look at the King of the Mountain specifications. Tim Wellens leading on 40 points. Thibaut Pinot
All the way down to 24.
that guy moves into third.
Yeah, he should
on
just move
45.
up. Absolutely.
That's categorised on his own, that guy.
And then go down on the optional manual cassette as well.
It's classified as a natural zone of ecological fauna and flora interest, so it is protected by the government decree. Peloton single file, they're really just trying to get through the finish line.
It's protected, but you're still allowed to climb all over it, by the looks of things.
And race your bike through the middle of it. Big Lampard on the front. They have had an enormous tour. Their big focus really was the first week to try and win a stage with Julian Alaphilippe, the sprint finishes with Ali Viviani, and then see what they can do overall with Enric Mas. This is the breakaway group. This is Niels Collin. He's all smiles. He's enjoying himself.
Let everyone know what's happened right from the start if they're just tuning in. I was looking at my race book, small downhill, and I was just about to say, this is the time when the opportunities that start to come up, places on the route to attack. Small uphills, little sections where it's possible to start the action. And just as we were going to go to that factory, we noticed the first little split occurring in that front group, the breakaway of 33 riders. It started.
It wasn't so much as an attack, it was some of the tactical moves of people trying to stay at the back and stay out of the wind. Christian Jensen out the front.
It's that manoeuvring, putting himself in a position just to do a little bit less for a little while, really save the legs, and then start to think about what's coming up. They've done that downhill. Now there's a series of small uphills, and here's an acceleration into a corner.
It's Mollema who is the first to go. This is a genuine attack from Volker Mollema. Robbie, once again, you have read the tea leaves correctly. It's Alexis Goujard who is responding.
Well, Mollema with Sturban in the group, this is exactly what he had to do. Go long range, force the others to come with him. If a group forms with him, then you can afford to start sitting back and doing less or nothing at all. Say, I'm going to ride for Sturban. I want him to come back to us because he can beat you all in the sprint. But he's a man who has won a stage a couple of years ago in the Tour de France, stage 15, the Puy-en-Velay, with a late attack out of a breakaway group.
And he attacks just before the bottom of the final climb, and they never saw him again because he is so strong.
And he's technically good. You saw where he attacked, going into a corner, catch them by surprise, open a little gap up. The reaction came really quickly, though, from Gujard, and it looks like he's closing the gap, but a little fracture at the front of this group.
The importance of attacking going into the corner versus going out of the corner.
Well, you've already exited. There's someone in your wheel. It's a pretty obvious move. Going in, catch them off guard. An attack now by Scully.
And Alexis Gujard, the rider that I spoke about earlier, has perhaps pays the price for the fatigue of being the breakaway yesterday. The man in the yellow shoes is showing no such signs, and in fact, it's Gujard who is the next to go.
It's Gujard just not wanting to miss out, so maybe thinking to himself, it's tactically so difficult to pick. I'm going to follow the first couple,
I wonder if he's up to the count or
as hard as I can and see if I can get away. Then you don't have to react to attacks.
You are the attack.
You are the attack.
That's the ride in the red colours from somewhere down at the back of the peloton. Their big hope today, they only have one hope. It's Nicholas Roach, who is in the break. Cheers to the two lead-out men, but Ali Viviani doing the job today for the yellow jersey. The white, that is Matthew Chesney. In the red, the Danish champion, Inga Berger.
A very straightforward defence for the Gurney quick step. Everyone pretty relaxed in the peloton. This is Emmanuel Bookman. Some people have been saying, oh, under the radar. Nobody's talking about him. We're talking about him every single day. We have been since the start. And said that he came out of the Dauphiné with a third place in the back pocket, and he was always going to be a contender for a top 5. He said, I'd like to finish top 10. He's underestimated himself.
In addition to that, whether we're talking about him or not, the riders in the peloton. So to the man in the red and, or sorry, the red and the black, the yellow and the black, that is Stephen Cruz. The best young rider in the race is Egan Bernal. Importantly though, he sits in 5th place overall. Niels Collins.
We went through that list and said who needs to do what and when, who needs to go long range, and this was one of the men we said go long range, a very good time trials, fairly handy uphill without being a climber and not slow to finish. So
now the drift curve itself, it looks like the gear ratio or the actual seat is just with the 11 stoppers.
Needed to adopt when we went through it a little earlier on.
it's Jens Kirkeleder who's come out after him from Soudal Lotto, so that's a man with a fast finish, not ideal for Pollock.
So it's
No
more
move yet from Thomas de Gens.
cassette
Perhaps he
ring,
waits
so
for a few attacks to soften the legs.
I wonder if that's
Then
what's
he
going on.
goes.
A very technical section. Niels Pollock pushing everybody to the limit if they want to close this gap.
Looked a little dusty through that
Wonder if I
ball
need
also.
to be in the
Everybody on the chase. And
Lewis
Kirkeleder
Bucket.
is getting across the gap. It's Jules Jensen in the background with Gujard, Tom Scully. So the men who are on the attack
Book
just
on the end was,
previously. That narrow winding road has just kept them at the front. Everybody's
This
strung
is
out.
how the
Two of the four
chain
riders
hopping
from
cassette
the
division
leaders are at the very back of the group.
for a straight
Not a good sign.
straight
This
line.
Felix Perrichon, who is at the rear, and this group is really strung out. This is some serious pressure at the front. Kirkeleder has made it across, and he's created a little bit of a gap to Tom Scully in the pink colours.
And that next group still has a gap over the rest, all looking over the shoulder. Edward Wassenhagen is in that group, the man in the bright green helmet. Looking back look like Jasper Sturban on the front of the rest of the group.
We see this vehicle with the Australian flags and the boxing kangaroo every stage of the Tour de France. Tim Wellens at the back, number 168. He will have enjoyed the rain showers. He despises the heat. He has to get into the breakaway tomorrow if he's any chance to win that polka dot jersey.
Well, not much is going to change back here either, but up the front, the change is happening. The attacks have started to rain
This is
down
supposed on a
from the front group. Niels Pollock and Jens Kirkeleder
flat
keen to
or
see what their
fast
gap is
downhill
over the rest.
race
Or if they've
like what
already
I had
shut
a
them
few
down.
days ago.
This is
I
from
was
the
on the
breakaway group, number 123. That is Sven Erik
This
Bist.
looks like the 52.11 on there.
He won
I can
the
still go
under 23
faster,
World Road Race
so I
title.
wonder
Caleb
So that's where the virtual shifting is coming to play. So going to the extremes on the cassette.
So back in our front group, Simon Clark has a little go. Trenton was the man in his wheel. Everything come back together after that attack by Niels Pollock.
There's now 3 of the 4 riders from Bonifacio.
So 52.11 plus 24 in the virtual.
At the rear. Just in front of him is
On the bottom make could be an extra bit of a boost. Because when I got this Swift Click thing, it said that would emulate the front chaining up to 62.
I won't attack or chase yet. I'll sit further back, rely on everybody being really keen not to miss it.
The actual gear range
Just wait a little bit longer.
can't be configured in Rouvy. So I think that was for Swift only.
And just hoping you pick the right tactic.
Oh, level 90.
Classification from that breakaway group. Rouvy starting the stage in 19th position. With this advantage, he's now moving himself up to 13th place in the general classification.
I was expecting that to happen in about maybe another week or two.
May well cost him a whole heap of time tomorrow in the mountains and see him fall even further back than he was already. Well, the Alps are looming for the entire peloton of this Tour de France. But at the front, the thoughts are not on the Alps. It's on the stage win. This is Goujard. Behind him, Ben King, Jules Jensen. He sits up, so the gap opens.
And Goujard wears the red number as the most combative from yesterday's stage, who's in the day-long breakaway. Theoretically, he should be the most tired guy in this breakaway group, but he's showing so much vigour to press on and try and win.
Maybe that's the thinking behind his attacks. I'm tired from yesterday, I'm fatigued. I'll just throw out big attacks and see if I can get away. Maybe he's feeling I'm probably not sharp enough at the end to make a big attack, so try and slide away. But they're not sneaky attacks. Big horsepower.
He's got Ben King with him, who's got plenty of his own horsepower. Now sprinting across, it is Tom Score, he's the Latvian national champion. Followed by
I did somewhere else before, wasn't it? Somebody before Steph, I can't remember who it was. He's disappeared now.
And the gap opening up. Look ahead, there are
I haven't passed them.
10 or 11 riders.
Because they don't
Jules
speak one
Jensen
foot away.
has not managed to go with the riders going across, but Matteo Trentin is one of them, the teammate of Jules Jensen.
And he makes contact at the back, more trying to go across. Scully is amongst them in the pink colours.
Daniel Oss, he's the man just making contact. So Trentin getting organised straight away. Right to the front, says, come on, this is it, let's split it. They've left behind around 20 riders. Asgreen is the man trying to come across.
He has the legs to go across, the 22-year-old Casper Asgreen.
Simon Clark just jumping out of the remnants of that breakaway, the big group behind him. Just see him coming over the crest in the pink jersey. There he is, Nico Roche, he follows his example.
Now this group, they sit and they wait, they try to work out who will do the chasing. And it's Thomas de Gent who is on the front, because also in this group is Jens Kerkeled. So the 2 riders from Soudal Lotto from the breakaway have missed the split.
Both missed it, so that's not a good sign for this group, having Thomas de Gent trying to chase you down. But that is now a big gap. Simon Clark down in the aero tuck in the background. Then it's Nico Roche. And now it's Nelson Oliveira on the front of the rest of the group. Asgreen is on the verge of making contact, but they are really going. Good cooperation in this front group.
This is the back of the breakaway. Number 136, that's Volker Mollema, who started it all.
Big tailwind down the valley as well. Simon Clark looking like he's starting to get stranded. Another big turn from Trentin.
The key notable, Clark is sitting up, he's about to be caught by the chasers. The key notable for Matteo Trentin, he knows that Jasper Stuyven is not in that front group. And he's probably the only guy...
So for about 25 minutes onwards, I've had the shifter buttons balanced on top of the chair. This is about 50 centimetres or so up above my handlebars. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take the shifter buttons off, put them back by the handlebars. See, the buttons do nothing at all. Back on top of the chair.
He is quite incredible. The amount of work that he's done on the front of the peloton on this Tour de France.
And we don't go again.
Heavy crash on stage 3. He's bounced back from all of that to get in the break first thing today.
And now we do, okay.
In incredible from the young Dane.
He'd be a popular winner if he was to collect the stage victory. Chris Jansen off the left. He follows the wheel of Niels Pollitt. He's trying to discourage the chase from this group because his teammate Matteo Trentin is amongst the leaders. Nico Rote now at the back in the red colours of Sunderland.
When this stride's done,
just behind
and we'll do short test strides.
And for the Cofidis team,
It moves the chair out of the way.
Into this group, number 156. Van Avermaet,
And
who is
see if
spoken
it's
about in orange, doesn't miss
a line
many.
of sight issue
Has
with the
missed this
Bluetooth.
one.
He went and he was with the attack after Volker Mollema really kicked things off, and then De Kent's missed the next one. That's how you've got to ride when you're in a break with any sort of numbers. You've got to back each other up. When one's made the effort and been in one, you've got to make sure you make the next one, or you're on the
10
back foot, you're
centimetres
chasing.
of plus up and
And
through.
a gap opening up now, 26 seconds between vehicles
Blocking the
passing
signal.
by, official motorbikes, cameras. Not a good
About
sign for the chasing
a
group.
metre and a half away.
11 riders in this group. Number 22 is Casper Asgreen. Just in front of him, Tom Scoins. Just in front of him is Gorka Izagirre. This is Niels Pollitt trying to go across. Pierre-Luc Perrichon is in the group for Cofidis. Matteo Trentin for Mitchelton Scott. The CCC, they have Greg Van Avermaet. The American Ben King is there for Dimension Data. Daniel Oss is in the group for Paula Hansgrohe. Staten Langen is there for UAE. Alexi Gujar for AG Tuala Mondial. Tom Scully, the Kiwi for EF Education First. Pollitt on his own, trying to go across.
All but two of the riders in there are doing what we said they needed to do to try and win. Go long range from somewhere just within 40 kilometres down to 25 kilometres to go. Try and get in a suitable sort of group. But the man going off the front is one of the big dangers for this group. Matteo Trentin with his sprint, so is Van Avermaet, and Gujar has blown.
What are these? It's
Finally paid the
some
price
sort
for
of
his
small desk in
Said
front
it
of the
earlier
bike.
where he said he's so active, maybe because he's already feeling the pitch and thinking, I won't be good enough to go in the final part of the stage. I'll see if I can get away and get in a group and they let me slide. It's caught up with him.
The one thing the team criticises Alexi Gujar for is being too aggressive. It's a nice thing to be criticised for, but today's paid the price for being a little too active.
He's out-attacked himself.
You get the wind
Good
boost
effort
or
nonetheless, being in
adjacent
the
to
break
you.
yesterday, and really yesterday was not the day to go in a break when you saw the body language of Sudal Lotta early on. But look what it's done to the group here. There was acceleration by Trentin. He was off the front, nobody followed, and now they're starting to look at each other. That teamwork element of the break has gone out of it.
He's trying to drive the break, but he's disrupting the break, Matteo Trentin. And a lot of riders in this group, they would fear Matteo Trentin, rightly so, in the sprint finish. He has been a stagger in the sprint finish to win a stage in the past.
And he's really being up front with his riding and pushing the pace and talking along.
Okay,
Where Van
Dennis.
Avermaet is trying the opposite
It's
tactic.
moving closer. Steph is moving forward away. I think it's actually going to go downhill.
Difficult not to see Greg Van Avermaet.
Don't mind me, I'll just do what the rest of you were doing and reach with the end.
But he's shown his experience here. He's recognised that the pace has dropped off. It's losing cohesion. He rolls through, and you saw the head turn back. He's talking to the others. Come on, let's roll.
Oss comes through, but back into a single file line. Oss, Van Avermaet, Scully, Asgreen, Matteo Trentin, Ben King, Langen. Then it was Scoins at the back. Gorka Izagirre just taking a drink. Now he is the sleeper in the group. I expect a clever attack with here.
His brother's been a stage winner in the Tour. That was in the rain into Morzine. That was in 2016. He'd like to join him as a stage winner in the Tour de France. Neutral service still providing the water, and there'll also be a Mavic neutral service motorbike, but not car, directly behind them. This is the peloton going through the motions. The Yates twins at the back. Number 108 Simon, he's been a dual stage winner in this year's race. 101 Adam Yates, he's trying to work out what has gone wrong. His season was meant to be Tour de France, then onto the Volta a España. It's been announced that he won't be riding in Spain. No Volta a España for Adam Yates this year.
Black Bears in the back garden.
Third from yesterday, Elio Viviani sitting just behind the white jersey.
On the
Nico Merkus still at the front, the Danish national
Little top
champion.
pots.
The yellow jersey,
The
Julian
top sell of these, looking at the last of
should
these.
come out of today reasonably happy.
For the
It's been a
catapults.
stress-free day as much as there can be one for the race league.
Yeah, he'll be very happy with how it's gone today. Completely stress-free, and even in the beginning he was just sitting in the wheels, cruising along, even though it was 50 kilometres an hour. That is cruising. You get to this end of the Tour de France, although you're tired, you're fatigued, you just get used to riding at that speed as well. You just turn it over and float along in the slipstream. Green pushing the pace at the front.
He's done a lot of work throughout this year's tour, a lot of work on the front, but today he's been saving energy at the back.
Remember back in the Tour of Flanders in April, he did so much work throughout the race for others, and then he finished on the podium. Second.
Yeah, and it was a solo second place finish. Bettiol was off the front on his own, and then Asgreen just slipped away from the next group, and they didn't catch him. He is strong.
And he did a lot of work in the first 10 days of this Tour de France, and he was top 10 in the time trial.
Eighth in the time trial. We declared him as the unsung hero the following day.
7 seconds, and they're starting to think about the climb that's going to come. It starts with around 13 kilometres to go.
You rode it this morning. What sort of opportunities does it present for this group?
14 kilometres to go to the start of the climb. It's 5.5 kilometres long, 5.2. So it tops out at around 8.5 kilometres to go. Out of this group, there'll be a couple not counting on their climbing skills, maybe looking for another attacking opportunity before they get to the climb, get a head start. Although that's a danger in itself. Get a head start for the climb. It's risk reward. You might not get a lot of the lead, but put yourself right in the red zone. As soon as they come back to you, you go through the group and out the back.
Simon Clark tried that a few days ago and then paid the price. 4 kilometres to the bottom of the climb.
I haven't seen Corsica here to come through for a turn. Maybe we've just been off on a seating shot like this wonderful shot from the Montaigne de Queuse series.
This one also stands at a little bit over 2,000 metres. Another one of the popular spots for rock climbing. You can see that limestone face of it. It's no wonder that it's one of the more popular destinations in this region for rock climbing. But the terrain that they have found when we get to the Alps, it's no surprise that it's very popular. It's still being led by Santa for the Golden Road and Tarpoch. Towards the 20-minute mark by the end of the stage, they are picking up the advantage for the breakaway.
And we'll just see what maybe a team like Movistar, some of the others might do on the front. Just ride a little bit quicker, possibly thinking just be in position for the descent. It's not a technical descent, but nobody wants to get caught out.
It's not the traditional descent that we see down into Gap, which was a hair-raising one.
No, that was off the Col de Mans, the Category 2 climb, and we've seen a few come undone down there and splits in the peloton. It's nothing like that. It's a lot more straightforward, so nothing for the peloton to worry about. This group, they're getting ever closer to the foot of the climb, and the gap is growing almost out to 40 seconds.
Here he is, Izagirre from Estrada, rolling through. He is
Yeah, Luke, we can sit down to 23.
with a very Costa strategy. Just enough to keep everybody happy. He's sure to attack on the final climb.
I think so. Out of that group, he's a man who
So 52,
really needs to
23,
attack this
20.
group, the likes of Trenton and Van Avermaet.
Does that make sense?
And this is what remains off the front of the breakaway group. Originally 33 riders, now 11 off the front.
Down to 10 now, in fact.
Oh, they're going to go.
Ross now being dropped. It would be incredible if he was able to return to this group, but now the chasers, they're out to 39 seconds. 39 seconds, a lot of ground to make up when you've been in this break all day long.
It's a lot of ground to make up. There is a 5-kilometre climb. Maybe Thomas de Kemp will think, I'll have a go at it on the climb. But there's got to be others in this group that think they need to get away before it. Maybe a Danielos, that's what he's thinking about. Tom Sculls be offloaded, but at least try something.
We've had Kiwis win stages in the Tour de France, the team time trial, but never an individual stage. This could be a historic moment for New Zealand cycling.
This is Ben King.
Tom Scully has himself in second position behind King. The reaction is coming from Trentin.
And he's just going to try and cover everything. Just keep it together.
The grimace on the face of Greg Van Avermaet as he follows the wheel of Casper Asgreen. Trentin is showing some cards early.
He won't be intent on getting into a group, start swapping off to form another split. He just prefers everything just to stay together. That will be just fine for Matteo Trentin.
37 seconds now. The gap reduces ever so slightly to the chasers. I'd like to see exactly what's happened back with the chasing group.
Swing across the road and Ben King, well, he has a look and then gets up on the pedals and goes. It's Van Avermaet who tracks him. Asgreen, he also sees the danger.
Trentin the same. He responds, number 107.
Not only
Asgreen, counter-attack, over the top. The youngest rider in the leading group, and he puts them all under pressure.
Well, they are very close now to the foot of the climb. This is a big effort. Climb is just a little way down the road. That was a soigneur for Dylan Turns stepping out the road, but sorry, he's not there yet. He's missed the split.
And he's creating a sprint. Tom Scully down the pit colours. The bow ahead is never a good sign. Tom Scully, you can cross him on. Ben King as well, he's been distanced. But Asgreen is the one who is eliminating the chances.
Mangan also gone out of this group. Perishon, he will not get across. Trentin says this is great. Let's keep it rolling. The men not to miss out. Asgreen, Van Avermaet, he's a gear and Tom Scoynes.
Daniel Oss with the flowing locks. We're asked about the aerodynamics of Daniel Oss. He loves his hair. He sits at the back of the group. It's part of his branding, Daniel Oss. It makes it easy for us to spot him. He's right at the rear of the group.
Trentin, he's eager for this to keep moving along. We got rid of a lot of guys. Always talking, always pushing. Come on, guys, let's keep it going. Roll it over, almost at the bottom of the climb. And Izagirre, he has got to be the man who will attack. He can't wait till just near the top.
After the showers that we had, the dripping that you see in that musette bag from Michael Hepburn, that's the stockings full of ice to take them through to the team leaders. As one of his teammates, Matteo Trentin, he's not waiting for the sprint, he's showing his strength. The cards are on the table.
Well, followed all the moves, and he's obviously thought to himself, he's just not moving quick enough. Maybe they're too tired, off I go.
Reaction now coming from Pierre-Luc Perichon.
As Trentin is onto the climb, the Col de la Sentinelle, 5.2 kilometres, 5.4% average.
And he is a strong time trialist, Matteo Trentin. Real pause back in this group. Who's going to do the work? They cannot.
Wants to do a big turn for the rest as they get to the foot of the climb. Could be a master stroke by Trentin. Perichon, he was dropped when Trentin was one of the ones making an acceleration. He surely won't ride across the Italian.
No, he's looking over his shoulder. He's looking for the chasers. The race is out in front. Pierre-Luc Perichon, second on the road. Matteo Trentin is all by himself.
An adjustment of the jury or just a silent prayer. He's off the front solo, and that is a big gap to cross.
Chasing group being led by Tom Scoynes. It's then Greg Van Avermaet in orange. This is Pierre-Luc Perichon of Cofidis. Looking to end an 11-year drought for this team. Is he making any progress? Not yet. This is Trentin. And he's the rider that I would have backed in the sprint finish from that group.
Trentin, fastest man in the group, the one the others don't want to go to the finish with, want to offload him, attack him, use him up. He'll have none of it. He'll leave him behind first.
Impressive. Just fourth at the World Championships in 2017, Matteo Trentin. He's won multiple stages here in the Tour, 4 at the Volta di Spagna and 1 at the Giro d'Italia. He's already opened up a 13-second advantage, making 15 seconds on Pierre-Luc Perichon.
Stages here at the Tour, successive years, 2013 and 2014. In 13, he beat Albacini in a photo finish, and then the next year, he won into Nancy from an elite front group after a difficult hilly stage, coming in ahead of Peter Sagan.
And at that point, he was riding with the Quick Step team. Omega Pharma Quick Step, who's now Philip Dino, now known as Tony Quick Step. Got the jersey fully open, 37 degrees, still at the finish line gap, 4.2 kilometres to the top of the climb. This is the pursuer, this is Perichon.
And this is good news for Trenton that Berishon is still in between. A man who was dropped when the race went a bit faster.
He's at 17 seconds, 26 seconds to the next chasing group. And Berishon keeps looking over the shoulder. This could be it. Trenton has laid the winning move.
Maybe a lot won't consider this going out on a limb. I'm calling it. Trenton will not be caught. He has looked so fresh. He's been all over every move. He's been a 10. He's been strong. He's covered attacks. Now he's made his own. He's been so eager in the moves as well to do the work, to get everybody moving. It's like he's on a big adrenaline rush. Surely they can't catch him. The gap has opened up even more.
He's not showing any signs of slowing down Matteo Trentin. He was interviewed before the start of the stage. No pressure on the team. You've already got 3 stage victories. Yeah, but I haven't yet.
Prophetic word by the Italian, the man who is the European road race champion. And from his team, Mitchelton Scott, just as you said, one of the men with 2 stage wins in this race, Simon Yates. He sits at the back of the peloton, having a relaxing day, and I'm sure following the progress updates of his teammate off the front. This is a Pic de Bourg.
It's the 3rd highest peak in this region at 2,709 metres above sea level.
Cooling off for Matteo Trentin. He's feeling the heat, but it's not from the chase because they are going further behind. Berishon at 23. The rest of the pursuers at 33 seconds. That's the group with Izagirre and Van Avermaet.
And how discouraging for that chasing group now at 33 seconds when they've seen the strength of Matteo Trentin. It's Os on the front, followed by Asgreen, then Izagirre, Scoins, and at the back, Van Avermaet. They don't look like a group who will close down a Matteo Trentin.
These are not tactical decisions. That is the best they had. This is the best they've got. The strongest man is going to win this bike race. Plain and simple.
Matteo Trentin off the fronts. He's got it all in front of him with just on 11.5 kilometres remaining. It's 23 seconds now for Berishon. Kelly Berishon is putting up a good fight.
Yep, dangling 13 seconds in front of the group that he caught right before the foot of the climb. He went up and over and they took a pause. He's still holding off. He's 15 seconds ahead of that group with Van Avermaet.
He looks cooked at that point, but he's really bounced back.
At the moment, he's hanging on to this time gap. He's not losing any more at the moment. That time gap actually having him come in by 1 second on Matteo Trentin. We still can't see him. 22 seconds is a big gap.
This is his 4th appearance at the Tour de France with Kelly Berishon. He's never won a stage in the Tour nor a World Tour level race, but he has won a good race if you like the chance. He has been a winner from Harry Cannondale.
Where you win your weight in
Cannondale. He won that back in 2012. This is fast, followed by Van Avermaet. You're trying to work, you're right in your assessment. It's not so much that it's tactical, it's just this is all that's left in the tank. It is stage 17. They've been racing throughout the Tour now for more than 2,500 kilometres.
and the gap is growing. And Matteo Trentin, his virtual finish line is the top of this climb at 8.5 kilometres to go. It's pretty much all downhill into gap, just a couple of little pinches a few hundred metres long. But he knows if he can have 20 seconds at the top of this climb, they will not see him.
This is the next group on the road. These are the remnants. This includes Edvald Bosenhagen. Also in this group is Ben King. Simon Clark is there in the pink colours. Dylan Toynes is at the rear of the group. Just in front of him is Volker Mollema. 3rd last from that group is Nico Roche.
This is Langen at the front of this group, trying to drive them back on. Simon Clark, he's in 4th last of the group. Justin Roche behind him.
Is that Henao?
Yep.
Former Colombian national champion, Sergio Henao. And the gap to the peloton out to 18.5 minutes.
Just over 2 kilometres from the top.
This group looks like it'll be caught by the group that is chasing them down, and then they'll get the news, oh, but hang on, Matteo Trentin, he's still another 40 seconds up the road.
The big dive down into gap.
Gorka Izagirre. Now the attack comes from Kasper Asgreen. And nobody with the legs to go with him. The young Dane has proven to be a powerhouse in 2019. One of the revelations of last year's Volta a España, confirmation this season.
But if he's able to accelerate like that right away from this group and distance them, he's waited too long. He should have done that before if he really did have it in the legs. He's onto that little flatter section now as well.
41 seconds, the gap at the moment. Casper Asgreen made the move. He might be able to take 5 or so seconds away really quickly with the acceleration, but then once it gets into the stabilisation, Trentin's not backing off. He's not slowing down. He's showing no signs of weakness.
And he's 500 metres from the top of his climb. The gradient a lot easier. He will power across the top of the Col de Sentinelle above gap, and it'll be a lightning fast descent. It's a pedalling descent, so it's not as steep as, say, a Pyrenean or an Alpine descent. It's certainly quick, open and flowing.
Asgreen pretty quickly across the Perichon. He will make contact with the Frenchman by the time they reach the top.
Good acceleration by Asgreen, and he may live to regret that he didn't try this earlier.
It's not over yet, Robbie.
Oh, okay, but it is.
Not quite.
They will not catch Trentin, surely not. Too much experience, too much fight. You can see this morning in his interview how much he wanted it. Popped himself into the break, and the way he's ridden it all day long. The only thing that surely that could stop him is a mistake.
Yeah, I'm 99% with you. But Casper Asgreen is a guy who has surprised more than once this season.
Asgreen up and over the top of Pierre-Luc Perichon. Tries to tack himself onto the wheel, and he does it at the moment. No, the gap opening up, the Dane pushes on. The Frenchman is being dropped.
The moment was momentary because number 22 is on the charge. It's the young Dane, Casper Asgreen, still holding out a glimmer of hope of being able to get across to Matteo Trentin.
Well, the kilometres are going to tick away very quickly now. If it was this gap and a flat or undulating run into the finish, you'd say still a chance. He's not home yet. He's got a lot of descending to do. Right the way to the final kilometre, there's only 2 sections of about 400 metres. We'll be up onto the pedals, big chain ring as well. And the little kick up from 2 kilometres to go, you really dive into a dip, carry a lot of speed onto it. So Trentin just has to hold it together, keep his concentration is the most important thing now on this descent. Get your markers from the motorbike and the car in front of you, estimate the corners, take just enough risk, but he's got a gap that he can be careful enough.
I'm glad you declared this is a non-technical descent.
It opens up even more further down. It's not hairpins. You can take most of these corners with just a brush of the brakes.
Just a brush of the brakes. So he says, at the top of the climb, Trentin's lead on Asgreen was 26 seconds. At the point when Asgreen attacked,
It moves now
41 seconds.
to sit down as well.
Might be 10 at the finish, but Trentin will have time to sit up and celebrate.
This is the chase. That's for Asgreen. Trentin is a very good descender.
He's a very good descender, and as much as I'd like to get the excitement in it, for commentary purposes, but I'm not going to, because Trentin is just too good to give this away.
This is Pierre-Luc fighting for a top 3 finish on the stage. He's trying to hold off the group with Greg Van Avermaet. And now it's gone out to 29 seconds. So Trentin actually is riding away from Casper Asgreen on the descent.
He's a good descender, just has to hold it together. Shades of last year, Adam Yates off the front on the way to Bagnères de Luchon with Julien Alaphilippe on the chase. He fell in a call. We don't wish it on him, but these are the things you need to keep in mind, and that's why you need to stay 100% focused, even with a comfortable lead.
And yes, Mitchelton Scott, Trentin, Mitchelton Scott, Asgreen, quick step, Alaphilippe, quick step. Shades indeed.
That's why it all came together. Flatter part
Feeling
of the
good.
descent, so the further you go down,
Quite
the
lazy
less
right
gradient
now.
there is.
Don't feel like riding a bike
Back onto
at all.
the power for Trentin. Line up that car in front. See what sort of curve there is in front of you. Ease off slightly. Back on it again.
He looks so powerful, Matteo Trentin. The European
But
road
it didn't
champion.
cycle yesterday.
He's won sprint finishes in this tour before. One for breakaway group, another one getting the better of Peter Sagan. Now Casper Asgreen.
Okay, gotta go on the bike, watch out.
Yes, both Matteo Trentin's Tour de France wins have been in group sprints. The one in Nancy in 2014, quite a large group sprint. 2013, a smaller breakaway group like this one with about 15 or 16 guys left and just got over the top of Albacini. Well, he's making sure of this one. Just the strongest man in the group on the day. In the end, when you look at it, he's ridden away and simply outpowered them. He was all over everything, didn't miss a beat, not a single mistake, and he's the strongest.
A noise. It's going to be in the changing the gate on the actual bike itself. I think it's for the virtual gear change.
Just evaporated underneath the sun at the gap as it goes.
So right now I'm in the 52.
Going out. This is that little uphill section.
20,
5 kilometres to go. It goes for a few
5,
hundred metres, and it definitely stings the
23
end of a 200-kilometre.
on the cassette. So 52-23 on the cassette right now.
17 of the Tour de France.
And gear 14.
Like the proverbial, but Trentin,
And
you
the
can
virtual
smell
shifter.
the stage wind.
It hurts a little less when you're in front and the time gap is going in your favour. But this is another brave performance by Casper Asgreen.
He holds 8 seconds over Pierre-Luc Perichon. It's a further 8 seconds back to the group of Van Avermaet, which has swelled in number with riders joining them from the chasing group behind. The breakaway absolutely fell to pieces. Matteo Trentin has been responsible for a lot of the damage. This is Bauke Mollema with Gorka Izagirre
Trying to go across. In March of last
Okay,
year,
that's because
Asgreen
I
was still
have
riding with Team Virtue
connected the
Cycling,
Swift Click,
a continental team.
but the actual
And in
Swift
the
cog,
third division of
which is
sport,
the
he got
cassette
picked up by
replacements,
Dakota Quickstep.
I have
Now
left fast in the
24-year-old
box.
Dane finds himself in with a chance to finish
So I'm
second on a stage
happy
of
with
Tour
the
de
actual
France. He was second this
virtual
year
shifting
at the
itself.
Tour of Flanders, a stage winner at the Tour of
This
California.
means the small ring,
Whoever is responsible for that
the Sicily
talent
gear
ID,
14
well done.
and 23 on the cassette.
Izagirre, Mollema, then Perichon, Toys and Van Avermaet contemplating what might have been. They've missed their opportunity.
Yep, the rest, they are way out of contention for this one. This is that downhill stretch down towards 2 kilometres to go for Matteo Trentin.
So there might
So
be a
all
few
downhill till 2k to go. Another kicker up.
version reviews on Rouvy.
But he has
And
a
so I'm actually happy with the
36-second
virtual
advantage
shifting.
now. So he's riding away all the time. It'll just be steady state and start to think of what the victory salute is going to be.
Well, he hasn't had much chance in his previous
Move
stage victories to
forward to
really
17.
focus on it, as it's been the adrenaline. One with a photo finish, where he actually
can send it to
had to
Lewis.
wait maybe up to 2 minutes for confirmation when he got the better of Michael Albacini.
Yeah, that was super close on that
Oh,
occasion.
super.
This time, there'll be no one else on the photo unless he starts to celebrate from a kilometre out and Asgreen comes into sight. Asgreen still only has 10 seconds on the group. They call it the group Van Avermaet, but that was the one we saw Bauke Mollema and Izagirre
Okay,
attacking out
what's
of.
that?
Matteo Trentin on target to make it stage win number 4 for Mitchelton Scott.
This last little uphill section, then it's downhill to, oh, he's got the downhill until the 2 kilometre, then a proper kick up. Still to get to that section.
This is Casper Asgreen now drifting out to 38 seconds behind. 8th in the individual time trial. He's the Danish time trial champion, and he has spent countless kilometres on the fronts of the peloton for his team leaders, Alaphilippe and Viviani, but they're closing in on him from behind.
Yeah, they're coming at him, and this man, he is going away from them. This is the peloton coming onto the foot of the climb.
Tony Martin is who
There's
leads them
a
onto the
bit of a
front.
disagreement here, Luke Rowe and Tony Martin. That will be looked at by the race commissaires, that sort of behaviour. And this is the sort of thing that could get Tony Martin thrown off the Tour de France. It's too late to say he needs to be careful. It might be too late for him.
I don't know. I'd like to know exactly what happened there and hear from Luke Rowe and Tony Martin.
Well, they're going to have to explain themselves, most certainly Tony Martin, to the race jury if they've seen that footage.
Do you think that was deliberate as opposed to a look across the shoulder and then he
Oh, it was absolutely deliberate, but we just need to know what was the catalyst to that. But
Okay, top of this
the
hill.
real action is right here.
He's on the
think
way
I'll
to
hit the
another
dents.
stage victory for Mitchelton Scott. About to see the kite with 1 kilometre to go. Matteo Trentin has simply been the strongest. Pat on the back
Well,
for
if
the
he
yellow
crosses me
jersey.
before that.
Gratitude for Dries Devenants. 20 minutes and 10 seconds the gap. Still leads. It is followed by Thomas, Kruiswijk, Pino, Bernal, Bookman, Landa, Valverde, Uran, and then Port rounds out the top 10. of this year's Tour de France has been completed. There's just 592 kilometres remaining before the race reaches its finish line in Paris. Yet the big decisions, they're still to be made, and providing the backdrop will the Alpine climbs. Could it be a French victory? They've got the yellow jersey resting on the shoulders of Julian Alaphilippe, who will get to the top of the mountain first today. The drama of the day yesterday, though, involved Luke Rowe and Tony Martin. On the road approaching the final climb, the battle was on for positions.
The silver 23 on the cassette, 36-23.
And it got a little heated.
Pretty harsh decision. I think maybe a yellow card would have been merited, but I think a red card for both riders, in fact, feels a bit severe to me. Devastated. Yeah, I think
the big ring, 52-23.
biggest sport event in the world, and to come here with this team and
Okay, so the differences between the retro gears, the retro shifting,
just get like
is so minute.
always let myself down.
So very, very difficult to tell the difference unless you're on like a steep climb or above what 5% gradient.
I think both of us deserve that. And you know, it's just a lot of people supporting you, watching you, and
That's this morning.
it's pretty hard.
Luke Rowe from Team Ineos and Tony Martin of Jumbo Visma, both disqualified from the race. They're on their way home. In terms of altitude gain, this is the biggest throughout this year's tour. They will scale more than 5,200 metres in altitude gain across 208 kilometres from Embrun through to Valois. And some of the most famous climbs in the sport, the Col de Var, then it's on to the Izoard, then to the giant, the Col de Galibier, at more than 2,600 metres, before a rapid descent through to the finish. Hello, welcome to stage 18 of the Tour de France. Matthew Keenan with you, joined once again by Robbie McEwen. Robbie, the sun is shining at the finish line, but there are a few riders missing. We just saw the package from yesterday involving Luke Rowe and Tony Martin. It will provide a talking point for the next few hours, and then we'll get to the high mountains and we'll switch our focus very much onto the racing itself. But it did take a dramatic turn after yesterday's stage.
It did take a dramatic turn, but as far as I'm concerned, it didn't take an unexpected turn. As soon as I saw the footage, and the small part that we saw live during the race, I said they're going to have some questions to answer at the finish, and they certainly did. Then more footage emerged, and even though nobody crashed, the actions that were taken by those two riders, with the look at the precedent set last year of Gianni Moscon being thrown off the Tour for trying to punch someone else, a swing and a miss. They threw him off the race. With that precedent already set, looking at yesterday's events, for me, it seemed pretty close to 100% they were going to be thrown off the race.
Now, you made that call at the time, and I was sceptical. I didn't think it would be that severe. I did see some more footage, courtesy of the Dutch television, NOS, which shows more prior to what happened when they made that left-hand turn. And in terms of, number one, the risk that they put other riders at, the risk that they put spectators at, and then also the image of the sport, it does look harsh externally. It's not the consequences of those actions, it's the intent of those actions and what could have been caused. I actually think the UCI made the right decision disqualifying them, even though the people that are in the thick of it, they probably feel like it is a little bit harsh. But I also believe that the UCI should have gone on the front foot and actually made a strong communication about what their decision was, why they made it, and the purpose of doing that big call of disqualifying them from the race.
Yeah, and I think you're right with that call. The UCI just need to come forward. They don't need to say much. All that needed to be said was, we will not tolerate physical aggression within the race, and we have excluded the two riders. Full stop.
Yeah, there was no need for them to hold a press conference and do a whole Q&A session. They just needed to make a strong statement that shows that they are backing the decision of the jury on the race. And a lot of questions have been asked as to who's the jury. Well, the jury's made up of an international group of representatives. There's Italians on there, there's French on there as well, there's a Canadian on that jury. It's not as if it's a biased decision in favour of the French race leader.
No, it's not in bias to the French race leader, but in effect, the race jury, the UCI commissaires, they are the judge, the jury, and the executioner, and the appeals panel.
This time they executed. So there's...
So I wasn't shocked to see them out of the race, but as we see the Tour de Brune in Embrun, and we'll get to some of the fantastic scenery. Please enjoy watching that if you're not so into the technicalities behind the race and what's gone on after yesterday.
Just to clarify the jury, the UCI president, or the jury president I should say, is from Italy. Then the members, Canada is represented, France, Spain and Belgium. So there's no bias based on nationalities.
No, it's simply following the rules that are in place. They had the option just to issue a fine and a warning and points deduction and other various things that are meaningless to the riders, really. But they went the whole hog, said out of the race. The race moves on. The teams were planning an appeal, heard nothing of that, but they will not go back. As I said, judge, jury, executioner and appeals panel. They're not going to reverse their own decision. So the riders are lining up for this stage, what is the Queen stage of this Tour de France.
And their fine was 1,000 Swiss francs, Robbie, which is significant,
yeah,
as opposed to 1,001 Swiss francs.
Yeah, so if the fine they got was under 1,000 Swiss francs, it gives you no right of appeal. A fine over 1,000 Swiss francs, you may appeal.
Correct.
Read this fine print. Just got to that bit.
Julian Alaphilippe in the yellow jersey. This is a big day for Julian Alaphilippe.
They've all been big days for Julian Alaphilippe, whether they're flat or hilly. He's made something big. Just the fact that he's still in the jersey day after day, it's huge.
From Embrun, which in 2008, this beautiful little town in the Alps hosted the start of two stages of the Tour de France. One of them finished in Italy at Prato Nodoso. That was one pouring rain on a breakaway group by Simon Jones. The following day, it was the stage that went through to the stage went through to Algiers. And it was Alessandro who won the stage with the bell breakaway in the eastern sun. We're expecting a bit of both today. It's warm at the moment.
I was just thinking while you were telling that story about 2008, I was there, I rode it, I don't think I've been at the hard end of the tour. But weather forecast wise, so at Valois, where the race finishes after they crest the Galibier and dive down into Valois, chance of thunderstorms from 3 o'clock this afternoon. The race is not due to finish until 5 p.m. So it's a 50-50 whether the storms will hit here, but there will be thunderstorms in the Alps this afternoon. So the riders have just got to be lucky that it doesn't hit on the course. Yesterday, I'm sure they really would have enjoyed that heavy downpour at one stage. It was 38 degrees, and then it started pouring rain. It would have been like having a swim. They would have felt that it was really nice.
Mickey Shah, who was in the breakaway, he did an interview immediately after the stage, and he said, that's the first time I've rejoiced rain when I'm in a bike race.
Well, we saw, as the raindrops started to come down, we saw riders look at each other and smile and laugh and think, how good is this?
It's great.
Never seen that before.
What a gorgeous town, the way it's perched up on this rock. It sits at around about 1,000 metres or so above sea level, this little town. And I really like
in the big ring at the front.
And the little athletics track that went around the outside of it. What a picturesque place that would be for a game of football.
They stay up on top for just a couple of kilometres before they really drop down. So gradually down, they're about to drop onto the real descent.
Signal there from Lucico. I'd suggest indicating to Perishon, let's keep rolling and wait and see who comes across to us. They won't survive, there's just two riders out in front, but there's sure to be a counter-attack coming from that peloton. Last back, first rider to attack, has rejoined the rear end of the peloton. Survived for months.
Cut down to 30 on the virtual.
You have to make in a position of a
just to fix my cadence a little bit.
Do I attack and hope they just let me go and get in the group and get a head start, or just sit back, relax, stay as fresh as possible to try and hang on. And it's a terrible feeling when you've made that attack. You've hurt your legs and it doesn't work.
Corsica at this point, he's trying not to hurt his legs too much. He keeps looking over the shoulder to see what's developing from the peloton. And the bad news for Corsica in the light comes from the start is that as the whole peloton closing down.
Now, the danger for these two is that they'll be down the descent, the peloton will be bearing down on them. Just weight of numbers rolling over top of each other. One rider's trying to sprint his way across. When you get back down onto the flatter roads, I think the attacks will just continue out of the peloton. And it'll probably just eat up those two in front and see a whole new breakpoint.
Yesterday is still small. It is still small. Yesterday when we drove the motorway onto the edge of the hill. The whole part of the race is for that force of the car to be contained. And then on the way to racing.
It's going to be fast, of course. It's better than the requirement. You can see the slipstream behind them. The fourth share, Vincent Lefort.
Also fourth.
Second, Vincent Ford.
Construction work you can see being done there. It's got a currently on this private residence.
So much more modern section of building right there in the middle. What a view. Tough home to return to if you're a bike rider.
You think of it, bottom of the hill occasion.
Absolutely.
Still no official frame rate being formed in the past. Throughout the Middle Ages.
And this is what so many people love about these alpine stages. The views are just incredible. The scenery is stunning. And the racing is going to be red hot as well. Later on in the stage for our GC contenders. And if a break can open up a big gap, we may get treated two races for one.
For the guys that are inside the top 10 overall, particularly those that are inside the top 6 and within striking distance of the yellow jersey, we've already spoken about the sprints as wanting the break to get established and the race to settle down. I'm assuming they'll be in a similar position. Particularly Julian Alaphilippe. Perhaps there's others in there that want the race to stay hard, so it softens the legs of Julian Alaphilippe. But if it can settle down sooner, then it's better for the yellow jersey.
It's better for the yellow jersey, but some of the others, they may prefer it just to be aggressive all day long, really hard racing. And a guy like Thibaut Pinot, who showed in the Pyrenees that he seemed to have the best legs, he may prefer it just to be that big hard all day long, racing really kick off in earnest, maybe already on the Col d'Izoard, the second big climb of the day. It starts at around kilometre 117 into the race.
Still quite a bit to go.
With 90 kilometres to go.
And we have seen Thibaut Pinot on the previous stages, in the Pyrenees in particular, where he has used his team early to make the race hard, to try and soften the legs of the yellow jersey. So today, for now at least, it's not his team that needs to do it, it's the rest of the peloton trying to do so.
I wonder how Thibaut's final climb, how I thought the final climb
into
was.
the hands of Thibaut Pinot. Still strung out in single file at 10-11 seconds behind the breakaway group of two.
Over the Lac Saint-Vincent. They race along the shores of the lake. In this case, it's still high above, very close to the lake's edge. For the first nearly 30 kilometres
for Perichon and Corsica. We're actually coming from the peloton amongst the green jersey Peter Sagan. He already has a very significant lead in the race for that green jersey. The intermittent sprint, no doubt, will be to his liking. Perichon had the front, eighth on the stage yesterday. It was a really good performance by Perichon yesterday. A stunning place for a ride. If you could just organise a tailwind down through this valley and along the lake, that'd be lovely. Large portion of the convoy of the Tour de France drove along this route yesterday. They made their way from yesterday's stage finish through to the finish line on the other side. As for the media compound, that's divided into two sections. Commentary crew of most of the TV production, we're all based down in Saint-Jean. Lorient, Saint-Michel, Saint-Jean, it's just been right. It's been stage finishes to the Tour there before. We're in Saint-Michel, there was a stage finish on the
absolutely in their words, with Soudal Lotto with 3 stage wins, 2 weeks in the Polkadot jersey with Tim Wellens. They're riding a fantastic tour.
3 appearances on the podium for most of back. They managed to win 2 stages at the Giro d'Italia. That's not a bad Giro. They're harsh critics.
It's not. They were maybe out of ideas for decent stories. So they thought, let's do that one because they're underperforming compared to De Koning Quickstep, who operate with a much larger budget, have a really broad team of star riders. You shouldn't compare the two on that front, but they're always going to because they're both Belgian teams. But Soudal Lotto have really shown that they're worth every cent.
Yeah, it's a good return on investment for the sponsors. We spent a lot of time talking about them because they're either in the breakaways or in a position to set up for their sprinter, Caleb Bjorn.
And in Belgium, the National Lottery and the people who decide how much money goes to different sports and sponsorships and causes and charities and cultural events, all that sort of stuff, they say this is not just a sports sponsorship, this is cultural. In Belgium, cycling is a huge part
so that's where the virtual
psyche
shifting
of
comes
the
into
people
play.
and the culture of the nation.
What about the fact that there's a larger proportion of people that you would classify as the underdog that buy lottery tickets, and for the Soudal Lotto team to have that tag as the underdog, it's a pretty consistent branding.
Yep, correct. Chris Jules Jensen from Mitchelton Scott got himself off the front again with Roscoff and Daniel Voss. So men that we've seen on the attack in the last days.
Gradient near the end, that last little kick.
Peter Sagan.
So normally
and the peloton
my cadence would be
completely strung
grinding
out at this point. And still that little gap, it hasn't quite got closed yet of that chasing group who were dropped on the category 3. They will close it up, but it's taking a lot of effort.
They've already gone over a category 3 climb, and it was gradually uphill just to get to the base of it.
Tubes on
the average speed so far after 38 minutes of racing is 43 kilometres per hour. This is Chris Jules Jensen. He was in the breakaway yesterday.
Okay, so we're going to stay close to slide off now. We'll do a very short test drive.
Where Sagan goes,
and we'll
Matthews
move
goes.
this chair off the floor and see if it's aligned with flexing with the virtual shifting. So we'll just leave the video rolling.
This is Matteo Trentin trying to get the rider behind him, Jack Haig, into the move.
This is such good teamwork. You saw the look over the shoulder in the wheel. Follow me around the group. We're going to keep going. I'm going to launch you up the road, Jack Haig. He was having some real trouble following. Now, 3 teammates in this group. Jules Jensen, he sees it, he goes again as well.
And Trentin swings off. He's out of the way. He was into the red zone to get Jack Haig across.
You've heard of sprint lead-outs. That's an attack lead-out.
That was brilliant. Lutsenko, Perichon struggling to follow. This is the intensity with still 178 kilometres to go. They haven't even started the tough stuff.
Now, this is where they need these riders to break the elastic. But look, it's all come back together behind. So even a huge move like that, such is the intensity in the group and the intent to get in the breakaway as well, they're just not able to shake the field.
That was Jack Haig. Just did they please, please, please to the side of the road. That was a Soignier from UAE Emirates. And they said, yep, okay. Nice. Lutsenko now going by himself. Perishon figures, I can't hang out with you all day. This is a little tough.
No, especially after yesterday in the break for Perishon, a really long day out in the heat. Tried really hard, was in second position coming to the top of the Col de Sentinelle, the last climb of the day, passed by Asgreen just before the top and eventually caught by the chasing group as well, came across the line in 8th.
It was a really good ride. This is Perishon, the rider that Robbie was just speaking about, now being soaked up by the peloton that's led by Joey Roscoff. Kreuziger in 3rd position with the green helmet on. He's not too badly placed overall, Roman Kreuziger. He sits in 15th position at 12 minutes and 6 seconds down. If he goes into the break, that starts to threaten guys that are inside the top 10.
Well, he believes himself he's flying under the radar. Nobody's going to pay attention to me if I get up the road. And once I'm up there, it'll be too late. And they'll say, well, we'll have to sort that one out later. If he can get himself up there, that could be a stepping stone towards the top 10 for Kreuziger.
He has finished in the top 10 in the past.
As we race up Le Vallée de l'Oubet. Here, high up in the Hautes-Alpes, and heading towards the monster climbs that await on the menu today. Beginning with the Category 1 Col de Var, followed by the Col d'Izoard, and then the famed Col de Galibier.
Famed and feared.
Famous and infamous.
Yeah. That brilliant stage victory by Andy Schleck in the 2011 Tour de France is etched in my memory. This is Steve Cummings at the back of the group. This is Bilbao now at the front for Astana, who looks really uncomfortable.
Yeah, he has that bouncing style, but it's effective.
He's a good climber, and he's followed by Mikhail Kwiatkowski. So again, Robbie, we're seeing Ineos on the front foot.
Maybe doing a Movistar. We often see them put a rider in the break, get them up the road, and then they function as the perfect teammate later on in the stage.
Lutsenko, did you see that reaction? Look over the shoulder. Yeah. Oh, come on.
Why don't you just attack and come across instead of just riding across all in the wheel?
Okay,
thanks very much.
Just,
it's one of his team. Well, that's why he's waving at his teammate. What on earth are you doing? Bilbao got the message, but it's too late.
Yeah, it is.
Yates again on the outside, coming. Impey up here as well. Yates had a little look around and then decided, no, it's still moving too quickly. I'll wait, I'll save it.
Lutsenko presses on. He wants the break to come to him, not the whole peloton. But unfortunately for Alexei Lutsenko, he's about to be reeled back in. And he'll pay a price at some point for all this work that he's done on his own.
Big turn here from Daryl Impey on the front, the South African national champion. And there is the split now. So we've seen Mitchelton Scotland trying to launch their riders into the move. And it comes a point where maybe riders don't have that freshness, that punch to sprint their way into a breakaway. So you just get someone on the front who's incredibly strong, wind it up, get going so fast that eventually someone pops and the gap opens up.
And a gap has opened up.
Exactly what Impey has done.
And the bike
riding
again.
with so much confidence. It's Yates now at the front, followed then by Kwiatkowski. Impey in 3rd position.
Okay.
It would be
the shifting thing back on top of the chair.
Did not
like
make
before.
the breakaway today. If indeed the breakaway does win. But if he doesn't make the break of the day.
Yeah, at least to get into the break of the day and give yourself a fighting chance. Not giving up behind though, because it's Movistar who are chasing the gap. A lot of looking over the shoulder.
Okay, so I can't put the clicker thing on the bike.
Them, but it's not. Peloton all intact
because
in the
it doesn't
chase.
connect. I've got a chair in front of the bike.
To start to this stage.
So I thought maybe it's blocking the Bluetooth signal.
Out of the peloton.
So I moved the chair.
So you'd assume
And the
Caleb
clicker
Ewan
doesn't
is
work on the
also
bike.
here in the group.
He always sticks with
Yeah,
Caleb,
it's
whether
on the
it is for the
handlebars.
sprint lead out
However,
or
if I put the
survival
chair
out.
in front of the bike
Thanks for
again,
Jazz, he is
put the
responding
clicker on
to
top of the
white
chair,
colours, the Argentinian
and that thing
national
works.
champion. The pink coming across with the bandage on, that is the Canadian, that is Michael Woods. As we look at the South African national champion, Daryl Impey really forcing the tempo.
Mollema now into the wheel,
No,
everybody
doesn't
coming
make any
across,
sense.
so that shuts this group down. Impey pushing on.
Because he has Yates
everybody
with
just
him.
has a pause.
He's got Yates with him, who they believe can win.
Well, I'm
the
not doing this full climb now.
They've got some. Well, Paul's calmly working his way back through that convoy of cars. This is going to be a desperate chase for Caleb Ewan before starting a Category 1 climb.
They pushing on at the front, but surely this group is too large now to survive. There's going to have to be a counter-attack come out of this group.
Kalmashak has made it. So Total direct
We'll
energy
do,
after doing all the chasing
very
yesterday.
short recon.
Roman Bardet is here for
See where the
the
climb
18 to
actually
1 on the
starts.
team. First up, this is his teammate, Matthias Frank.
Because
And
they've
then
got
it
in
is
there.
Bardet.
Just trying to
for
identify
tomorrow.
the Movistar rider there. I thought for a second maybe Nairo Quintana.
See, there's rolled the bottom of the screen now. I've got another short green descent section coming up.
From the helicopter. Quintana in the breakaway for Movistar. Bardet is here. This is that's not Serge Pulse. This is Wout Pulse, who's at the back. He's now made contact with the rear end of the peloton.
Safely back onto the back of the peloton, and we hope the same for Caleb Ewan soon, who had to spend a lot more time on the side of the road to get his bike sorted out and looked like he was waiting for a new machine. So it's going to be a terribly tough chase to get back onto a peloton that is riding like
I'll see
this.
quick
Well, it's 33 riders in the breakaway
setup as it is
yesterday.
right now.
It looks like it's 33 riders in the breakaway again today.
33 is the magic number.
It is. De La Soul thought it was 3, but it's 33. Daryl Impey in that group has been one of the driving forces. AG2R, the Mondial, they're well represented. They have 3 riders in the breakaway, Bardet, Chiral, and also Matthias Frank. This is Chris Juliensen, 1 kilometre to the intermediate sprint. He's not worried about the sprint. He is just driving the tempo to get this breakaway off the fronts.
And there might be 33 riders in it. They're thinking about one man, and that's Adam Yates having him in the break. But also now having Bardet, but even more so Nairo Quintana. This is turning into being a very dangerous move.
In second position in this group is the first yellow jersey wearer of this year's tour. It's Mike Turnison. But they've only been given 18 seconds, so this has really caught the attention of the rest of the peloton.
I wouldn't even say they've been given.
No,
They've
stole.
taken 18 seconds, and now the peloton is going to have to claw it back.
Now, I won't get
They
the
can't
jersey
let
number
Nairo Quintana
T8.
ride off in a group like this one. And
It's
surely the
off
pressure
tomorrow.
has now got to come on De Koenig Quickstep, but also to a certain extent Jumbo-Visma, although Turnison just went through and did a turn. For Stephen Kruijswijk. Here's the sprint.
Pressure on. And the fronts in the sprint collecting the points with just a little nod of their head.
This is Jasper de Burst. So he didn't place the Caleb Ewan, someone else.
Followed by Kamna, and then it's Van Avermaet in third position.
Here comes the peloton in the background. Nairo Quintana coming through in fourth wheel of the rest of this group, behind those who sprinted for the points. And the peloton now led by Jasper Stuyven at this point.
He missed the
Elio
yellow helmet.
Viviani.
Stuyven missed the yellow helmet for Trek Segafredo as the leaders of the team's classification. He's on the front.
And that's not for points. They are all gone. This is to ride for Richie Port's 10th place overall.
Because Quintana's in the group in 12th position.
They cannot let it go.
To boost, followed by Kamna, and then Van Avermaet for the second day in the breakaway. Or Nikias Arndt.
In other words, let it build up and wait for the really high altitude tomorrow, the highest point of this Tour de France, the Col de l'Isère. And up until that point, it is all climbing.
It's a relatively short
stage.
It's only 126 kilometres tomorrow, but if you can find me a more difficult 126 kilometres in the history of the Tour de France, you'd be doing well. It is
pretty much
8.6.
the first 89 kilometres is uphill. The
And just see
section
how
from 75 kilometres through to 89
just short section
is an
is.
all-category climb called Isserand. But up until there, there's a couple of very short downhills on the way up, but it's always dragging up.
In that first 89 kilometres, I
Yeah,
estimate
they
there's
do,
maybe
they do like a kick
6 or 7 kilometres
on the
worth of
first
descent, and then
steep
it's either
section.
false flat or slightly uphill.
Well, in the
Which
first
is this little
75
pass here.
kilometres, they
Hopefully
go
it'll
up
benefit me to get us to
1,400
the
metres
release.
in elevation. Without any real real climbs. There's a Cat 3, a Cat 2, a Cat 3. They're merely bumps in comparison on the profile to the Col de l'Isère.
This is Pierre-Luc Perrichon at the front for Cofidis. Followed then by Damiano Caruso from Bahrain Merida. Next in line is Romain Bardet.
But you know what, even looking at tomorrow's profile, and as hilly as it is, it's only 126 kilometres. Can be ridden as a really aggressive stage. I don't think it's going to be the most decisive for seeing who's going to win the GC. I think they're bringing it down to the last mountain stage of this Tour de France on Saturday, to Val Thorens.
The advantage for the breakaway, which is 34 riders strong, it's out to almost 6 minutes. Miguel Mercu, Casper Asgreen and Yves Lampard are the 3 riders for De Koning Quick-Step who are doing the pacemaking at the front.
Obviously up to 1.7, they should be able to draft a little bit.
Before they go across the top of the climb.
They're 1.86 to 2.05.
Still the rider at the front.
I've got to...
This is Simon Geschke in the orange colours. Just in front of him is
Nathan Jackson a little bit. Okay.
He's not interested in the water bottle at this point. He's just interested in the top of the climb,
Right,
the final
stop
few
this.
hundred metres. You're right about the time gap with Tish Benoot on the front. It's moving towards the 6:40 mark quickly.
Still 700 metres from the top, and they will keep increasing the pace all the way through. Benoot takes a look back over the shoulder and sees that he is splitting the group as well.
That's not such a bad thing, aiming for the stage victory, to get rid of any of the passengers. Still a long way to go, but it's a group of 34. You can afford to cut this group in half.
You can, but you don't have to worry about the guys who are being distanced now. They're not your worry for later on. It's the men like Lutsenko and Quintana, the ones that are easily following the tempo at the moment, thinking, this is great, keep up the good work, boys. It looks like maybe this tempo has started to be matched back in the peloton.
We might see different colours at the front of the peloton, perhaps. Maybe no longer Yves Lampard, or has he got more of the tank to up the tempo? It's still Benoot at the front. Quintana showing a little bit of interest here in the Movistar colours.
And maybe Bardet as well. And they know there's so many points on offer coming up.
Bardet did sprint when he was in the breakaway a couple of days ago. That's Bardet that sits behind Jesper de Boos. He's 4th in line. Then it's Lutsenko, and at the rear of that little split is Nairo Quintana. Tish Benoot keeps on applying the pressure. Wellens, he's got his nose in the wind, checks across the shoulder. Bardet is the one who he's wary of. Tactically, he's very astute, Tim Wellens. Bardet wants the points. Wellens is leaving that left-hand side of the road open, teasing Bardet to go there. He'd be able to close the gate if he needs to, but Wellens has got too much horsepower for the Frenchman. 10 more points for Wellens. 2nd place it is for Bardet.
Tactically astute, Tim Wellens, as you said, leaving the door open, saying, come on this side.
And the Soignier for Soudal Lotto after the top of the climb. The other teams, it was before the top of the climb.
Something I always said to the Soigneurs, please don't try and give me extra weight before the top of a climb. Much prefer to get it over the top. There's some of the riders been distanced. Simon Geschke, that is a surprise, but he has already been active in this tour and maybe just through the best of his powers so far. Niels Pollitt, the other German just behind him. Amael Moinard, the man wearing 217 from Arkea Samsic. They're giving themselves a little bit of a chase to get back onto this group, but they should be able to make contact again. Back to the peloton, and that line at the front just that little bit longer. And that time gap sticking at 6:30, so the pace has increased to match that acceleration of Tish Benoot.
Wellens trying to stay cool, collecting 10 more points in the race for the King of the Mountains jersey. I would like a look back at that peloton to see whether or not it is still Yves Lampard who is setting the tempo. And if it is, if he's able to up the ante to match the pace that was increasing in front of that breakaway group, that is really worthy a tip of the hat. 6:33, the advantage for the leading group. That's 2 climbs down, the 2 easy ones.